Welcome to toy-polloi.
Hello and welcome to another video from toy-polloi. Now, if there's one thing you know I like on this channel, that is vintage Star Wars figures. And here in front of me I have a collection of my sort of Jabba's Palace Star Wars figures, including the mighty Jabba himself in the background. And today I'm going to be adding one new figure to this selection of Jabba's minions, and that is Ephant Mon from the Next 17. Now this is an all-new figure. It's a nice heavy bulky figure, and it is to represent Jabba's head of security, who you see in the background of Jabba's palace a few times. So he's a bit of a background character and he's a bit of a weird character. Let's take a closer look at him and see what the figure's like. So here he is. This is Ephant Mon, or Elephant Man, as I think a lot of people would probably find it easier to call him. This is Jabba's head of security, and you see him in the background in a couple of the shots in Jabba's palace. He really is a sort of blink and you miss it character. But this is an all new sculpt, so it's been created from scratch to sort of mimic the style of the original Star Wars figures, to have the same sort of quality in the sculpting, the same sort of detail and paint application, and to be the same scale. So he is a pretty weighty figure. I have to say, he's really very heavy. He comes with one accessory. You can see here, this is a sort of rather large cane that he has in his hand, and he doesn't have a huge amount of articulation. As we know, most Star Wars figures have 5 points of articulation. This guy only has 2. Essentially, you can rotate his arms up and down. The rest of him is one sort of solid lump of plastic, really, because most of the front of him is a face, and so if you were to try and put sort of moving legs on him, I don't think it would work particularly well. Now this was created by the Next 17, which is a new sort of guy making figures that I'd not heard of before, but I saw this figure online and I thought it looked so weird and so sort of intriguing that I got in touch with him, and Graham very kindly sent me one to have a look at and review. And I have to say, I'm not disappointed with it. As soon as I saw it online, I thought, oh, it's just so weird and it's so ugly, but it has that sort of retro vibe to it. And actually now I've got it in hand and sort of can play with it and move it around. It really does feel like an old-fashioned Star Wars figure. The style of it is very good. He said that he'd asked the sort of manufacturers to keep it as simple as they possibly could, so it's in style with vintage Star Wars figures. I have to say, I think it's probably more in style with early vintage Star Wars figures than later ones, but I like that. I like the fact that there's a sort of a simplicity to the sculpting and the way it's done. The paint application is very basic, which, as we know, all paint application on that vintage Star Wars figures is pretty basic. So you have a little bit on his teeth there, you've got some white on his toes, you've got black eyes, and he's got a red tuft of hair just coming out underneath the robe there. He also actually has even his fingernails painted, so it's a nice fine detail there. As I say, it's a really heavy figure. It's been injection moulded, so it's made how sort of the original figures were made. This is not cast in resin or anything like that. This is a properly made figure. I know they have made it in fairly limited numbers, so these are not the cheapest of figures, but I don't think that matters, because it's just it's a really nice piece. And if you collect figures and you collect, have little dioramas going on, sometimes you want these odder figures in the background. And I think it's really nice that the Next 17 have gone to the effort of making such a sort of strange background figure. I can't see Hasbro ever bothering to make something like this. It's not the sort of thing that they would add to their retro collection. So it's got to be up to the fans to make them. And it sounds like he has plans to make more figures. If you go onto his website, there is a mailing list, so I suggest you sign up to that. He hasn't given me any details of other figures coming up, but he has said that he will be producing them, and they will be in fairly limited numbers, so once they're gone, they're gone. So I would sign up to his mailing list just to be kept up to date with what he has to offer. But I have to say, this is really nice. I don't know, it's the oddness of it that makes it so nice. As well as the little cane that it comes with, I'll just show you that again. So that's the cane that fits in his hand. It actually fits in both hands quite nicely. You also get a little bit of a sort of diorama floor. So this is the sort of trap on Jabba's palace floor, which is quite good. You can then sort of add that into your scenes. It's printed on a fairly thick card, and you might need to do a little bit of cropping. There's some sort of excess paper on the back there, but I just like the fact that it's a little freebie added with the figure, and it's quite good if you're doing dioramas and stuff, just to have something to put on the floor so you can have a figure stand on it. Now, along with this figure, Graham did send me a really nice note about why he's got into this and why he's making them. Basically because he wants to carry on collecting Star Wars figures, and the only way to do that is to make his own ones, and that's why he's decided to go with with this one. I think it's really nice that he's gone with such an odd one first, because it is a real weird character. You only see it very briefly in the movie, as I said, but I think he's done a remarkable job of turning that into a retro style figure. It has the look, it has the feel, it has the weight to it as well. As I say, it's because it has been injection molded, this is a nice solid figure. I don't think you would be able to break it particularly easy. It's quite a weighty thing, and it does really fit in with the rest of the Star Wars figures from that era. I think it's a really nice piece of work, and I'm really excited to know what he's working on next. As I say, he hasn't given me any information about that. You will have to sign up to his mailing list. He's also on various social media sites, so I'll put the links to those in the description. But I just think it's such a nice and odd figure, and I'm really pleased that he's gone to the effort of making it. I can't imagine that Hasbro would have ever bothered making something like this. It's just too weird for them. But it's nice when a fan puts the effort in to make something so strange, and yeah, I love it. It just suits the rest of Jabba's Palace's figures. So as I said, these are currently available in limited numbers from his website and Etsy store. Do check out the links in the description for that. The price of them is higher than you would expect to pay for a normal figure, but that's because they are made on a very limited run, and I understand exactly how expensive it is to make things like this, especially when they're made by factories. In small numbers, you don't get a lot for your money. So buy this because you love it. If it's too expensive for you, then I would, just move on and wait for something else. But for the fans who like this sort of thing, it's really something that is worth getting. I do have to say a massive thank you to Graham for very kindly sending this over. I was really excited to get it, and I'm still really excited about it. I think it looks fantastic. I'm hopeful that he will be making more in the future, and if he does, I will get those and review those as well, because I'm sure it will be just as good and intriguing as this very weird Ephant Mon. I hope this video has been of interest to you. If it has, then make sure to hit the subscribe button and tap the bell to be notified each time I upload a new video, and thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching toy-polloi. Subscribe for more great videos. You can also follow toy-polloi on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.